I'm gonna show you the basics of Unreal. If this is the first time you're using it, stay with me. I'm gonna show you all the basics. If you are already experienced, then feel free to skip this part and go to the next section. So this big screen you see here is the viewport. The viewport is basically the representation of how your game will look like when you launch it. So this is a way you can preview the game. So I'm going to show you ways you can navigate here. By holding the right mouse click, you can rotate the camera around just like this. And by still holding it, just like you're moving in a game with W, S, A, and D, you will be able to orbit around just like that. Okay, just like a camera. You can move around with the mouse. And personally, this is my preferred method of navigating inside Unreal. Okay, so other things you can do, you can press the middle mouse click here. Okay, and you will be able to pan around in 2 axes. You can also press the left mouse click and move it, and as you move it, you will see it's like kind of like a spaceship, like you're moving, and this time you're moving like in 2 axes. Okay, so now there are some objects here in the scene. Okay, you can select them by just clicking on them, and you will see that you have the outliner here. Something is selected here. For example, I select this cube here, and you will be able to see the selection here. Okay, you can click here or click here and click here, and basically you have the outliner here at your right, which is a list of all the actors that you have in your scene. So what can I do with an actor? First, let's see how we can navigate around an actor. We can just move here by holding the right mouse click and using the WASD keys to move around and just focus on this actor. But an easier way is just to press the letter F. Or for example, I can press this one and press F, and you will be able to focus on this actor. While I'm doing this, I will hold the Alt key and I will right click and zoom out and zoom in, just like that. I can also, while holding the Alt key, I can left mouse click to rotate around. And this is just a nicer way to orbit around a particular object you want to focus on. Now, if you want to move it, you see here that I have some handles here. So what I have here is basically the select, the move, the rotate, and the scale. Okay, you see that I can either click here and you can see these handles here, and I can move it across any axis, just like that. I can rotate like this. I can scale it. And I can also select. If I don't want to move or rotate anything by mistake, I can just select the arrow. You see that there are some hotkeys here, the R, the E, and the W. This is very common across the industry. You press W to move, E to rotate, R to scale. Okay? Now, if you notice, as I scale these things, there is a number moving on the right. This is my details panel. And if you don't see here, you go to Windows, go to Details, or alternatively, just press F4, and you will be able to see the Details panel. So here you can also change the location by changing the properties here, just by holding the left mouse click, and you can just move around. I can just type a number, for example, 800. Okay, I can change the rotation here if I want. Okay, and the same thing I can do it in the viewport. There are a bunch of options here that we will take a look later, but for now the transform details are one of the most important. Let's take a look at other ways to move the object. As you can see here, I have my world transform here. You see this world icon here. This means all the axes are moving in the world view, which is here at the left corner. Okay, so if you want to move across a particular direction a face is facing, for example this one, you can just click here and you will see that the axis change, and now I can move here or move here in other axes, and depending on how the rotation of my object, I can just move along the local space of the object. Okay, let's just go back here. The next one is the snapping. Here you have a snapping of 10, and I don't know if you notice, but it's snapping a little bit. If I increase this, for example, like 100, you will be able to see the snap here. Okay, now you see a grid here is changing as I continue to change the snapping. I will get like different kind of grid here. There you go, like 5,000, 100, it becomes smaller, and 10, it becomes even smaller. Okay, so if you don't want this, okay, for example, you have like 500, you can snap this. This can be useful for some times. You can just click here and you will be able to move freely. Okay, you won't snap to anything. The same can be said about the rotation and the scale. You can rotate by 10 degrees, or you can just remove this and just rotate like this. And the same for the scale. You can scale like 0.25, or you can just change it if you want. The next one, very important, the camera speed. So you can just increase the camera speed. If you have like a bigger level, you can just put like this, for example, like 7. You will see that I will be able to move super fast. Okay, let me just put this back to 4. And a good way to change the camera speed is like right click and just while holding the right mouse click, you can just use the scroll wheel to go down and up while you're moving, so you can move slow or faster. This is my favorite way of doing it, so it depends on you if you want to use this one, or you can use both in the combination. Like you can just have a speed, very high speed with low, the other speed very low. Depends on you. Okay, there are a bunch of things here. I'm not gonna show you all of them, but some of them can be a little bit important. If you go here, you will see real-time turn on. If you don't see things moving like a fire or something, make sure this one is on. You will see real time is off here. Okay, the next is if you want to show the FPS, you can check the frames per second. Now, and there are a bunch of viewports here, like the unlit mode to check the colors, the wireframe mode to check the wireframe, the detail lining to check the details, the lining, and everything. These one are the most important ones. That's why they have the hotkeys Alt4, Alt3, Alt2, and so on. Okay, so let me go back to lead. Now, a very important thing. Some of you may have, hey, what do? I don't have the computer to run Unreal Engine. Well, you can just go to settings here, and when you go to engine scalability settings, you can just change this, like for example, to very low. As soon as you do that, the engine will load a little bit. Just wait a little bit. There you go, and it will like load the shaders for like the lowest quality. Okay, so let's just go back to settings and let's just put this back to epic. Okay, and just be aware that if you don't have like the computer to run Unreal, don't worry, you can always change the setting. It's not ideal, but it's a workaround. It's cheaper than buying a new computer. Okay, so we take a look at the settings and everything here. You are ready to create a new level. So before doing that, let me talk about the content browser.